That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Sorry about that, I just need a quick break. Anyway, so Star Wars Volume 2. I enjoyed this quite a bit, actually. I like how just they've had a million adventures and everything has gone completely wrong every time in between the two films. That's brilliant. Just nothing works out ever. That's nice for them. And we get some cool little moments here. But we start out with some history of what was going on with Obi-Wan between episodes 3 and 4. And it's just like a little bit about his life, of how he had to kind of give up being a Jedi, give up protecting the weak, in order to, maintain his cover and be able to help Luke. That's just a neat story. It doesn't, at least as far as I can tell, really reveal anything about what's going on with Luke now. Or set anything up right now. Get some stuff that continues all the shit with Han Solo and his wife. And Luke is searching for a way to get to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. In doing so, he reveals that he has a lightsaber, which is a highly prized artifact on that planet. And this puts him in trouble because now he's basically kidnapped by one of the Hutts and put into kind of a gladiatorial game thing as the last Jedi. And he needs to be trained a bit as a Jedi in order to do this. He's able to open holocrons, too, to prove that he is actually a Jedi. Yeah, he's kind of trained by, like, an agent of the Empire that's secretly there. Chewbacca's gone looking for Luke in this interim, and eventually Han shows up too, and they're all working on busting Luke out while he's in the middle of a fight with some kind of monster. You know, it's Star Wars. What else happens? Apparently the knowledge to build a lightsaber kind of died with the Jedi, which is interesting. Like, they still have a lot of lightsabers. People have found them, but every couple of years one dies. And they just have no idea how to fix it, which is neat. So anyway, Han and Leia show up to help Luke out. And it's an absolute shitstorm. Everything's going wrong all at once. But there's just this really cool scene. There's like a dampening field or whatever that makes it so blasters don't work. And lightsabers are the only option. Which actually makes sense, since lightsabers are not lasers. And Han, Leia, and Chewie get lightsabers, so we get this really, really awesome panel. That should have just been the cover. I would have immediately bought that if that was the cover. Just, come on. How is that not the most awesome thing ever? Chewie with the red and green, or blue and green lightsaber, that's just epic. And yeah, I don't know, I thoroughly enjoyed that about this. It was just really, really cool. The guy that was working for the Empire has a communication with Vader. He's like, what did you learn of this boy? Did he happen to mention his name? No, my lord, he did not. All I know is that he is a young and untrained, more brave than wise, not without gifts. He is not a Jedi, not yet, but given time, he will be crushed, just like the rest of the rebellion. Tell me what else you learned of this boy, Sergeant Creel. Tell me everything. Oh, it's just really cool. So all Luke has done so far is just screw up fantastically, left and right, and put Vader closer and closer on his trail, which is great, but just keeps getting away in the nick of time. That's just all great setup for... It really is adding to the emotion behind the battle at the end of Empire Strikes Back. I am curious when we're going to get to Empire, though. Because the whole situation with Han Solo, Leia, and Han's wife, which is resolved, and I don't know, I thought it was just kind of silly, so I'm not even going to bother talking about it. That whole situation is, like, spawned out of the rebellion needing to find a new base of operations. So I'm curious exactly where eventually the rebellion sets up on Hoth, and so I'm curious when that's going to happen. It has to be soon. Like, how long can they possibly dick around between episodes 4 and 5 before we get to episode 5? I'm just curious when that's going to occur. And I mean, it's not like there's no rush for it, obviously. You can tell as many stories as you want between those two. But I'm just curious how much time it's going to take. Or maybe they're going to do like a actual time. Because there was, episode 1 is 78, 77? Or not episode 1. Episode 4 is 77. And then I know episode 6 is 83. So I think episode 5 was 80. It's hard to tell, but I don't know, maybe they're going to do real time, 3 years between each or so. I don't know. I'm just curious to see how it continues. I'm really curious to see what they do with Luke in between episodes 5 and 6 more than anything else, to be honest. I just really, really like Luke in episode 6, so I'm curious how he comes back from, losing his hand and deals with all that, especially since you can't do Yoda in that time frame. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it all goes. As far as this book itself, it's just a lot of fun, and like, it's one of those things, it's mostly plot. There's no, like, deeper meanings or anything for me to talk about. And I enjoyed it as awesome, Star Wars-y kind of fun, and that's all I can really say about it. As far as the issue of stakes go, because I've talked about that a lot with these Star Wars books set between 4 and 5, there is some level of stakes here. I mean, obviously Luke isn't going to die in this or anything. Or none of the main crew is going to die. But could something have happened to Luke that... let me rephrase that. It's interesting to see Luke getting bits and pieces of Jedi training from what's left of the Order. It's interesting to see Luke kind of trying to search out this culture, and it's really interesting to see some of the stuff Obi-Wan was dealing with. I don't know. Otherwise, there's not much for me to say. The Hutt villain in this was really cool because, like, everyone just assumes Hutts are, like, fat and useless and lethargic and everything, but he is not. What's the line he has? Get back, regroup outside. What are you, crazy? We don't need blasters to take down one fat old... You should have warned them, Game Master. Now they'll learn the hard way. Gracchus isn't like the other Hutts. The most dangerous thing in Gracchus's arena isn't some savage beast or mindless monster. It's Gracchus. And so we have, like, a buff Hutt. I really like that with robo-legs. That's really cool to me. Alex and I once were discussing on Twitter, the implication you get with watching Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi is that, he's a glutton. He's fat and disgusting because that's all he does is drink and eat and just live a life of complete debauchery. But then in other stuff, since then we've seen, the Hutts are actually all that way. Clone Wars does a lot of stuff with the Hutts, and, Jabba's mother is 10 times fatter than he is. So, like, you can't have a Hutt not be kind of big now in Star Wars canon, even though that probably wasn't originally their intent. It's just what people ran with. And also, does anyone really... Can you, in your mind, actually picture a skinny Hutt? Because I can't. I just have no conception of what that would possibly look like. So it's nice to see kind of a turn on that, though, of, okay, he looks kind of fat. It's like a Kingpin thing. He looks kind of fat and lumbery, but really he's just super strong and he's a buff son of a bitch. I really like that. That's really cool. Anyway. A must-read for any enthusiast, Alex. Oh, that's funny. Kaboom.com says that, so fair enough. I don't know, I think Alex actually was reading this book. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Fun stuff, though. It's just very, very enjoyable. In a really, really basic way, honestly. There's not a ton to say about it beyond that, so I'll go ahead and stop talking now.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.